Dispatch Radio, Saturday mornings at 8 on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
From the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's Tan Talk.
Good morning, Clearwater, Zephyrhills, Lakeland, the greater Tampa Bay area. Welcome to Dispatch Radio. My name is Brandon Jones. Dispatch Radio is brought to you by theGlobalDispatch.com. And with me this morning, as always, executive editor of the Dispatch, the infectious disease expert, the Seinfeld aficionado, if you will, Robert Harriman. How are you this morning, Bob?
Hey, great, Brandon. How you doing, my brother?
It's another blessed day. I tell you, so much to get to this morning. We're going to have a whole lot of stories to cover in this week. It's been busy, of course, with news. We're going to jump right into a couple of the big stories. But let me give you the numbers to call in if you want to contribute to the show. You have an opinion on one of the things that we're going to talk about. If you have another story that you'd like to bring to the table, all of that is welcome as always. The numbers to call, 727-441-3000, 1-866-826-1340. If you have any questions, concerns, or interesting things to bring to the table. So let me jump right to an observation of the news. And this kind of helps kind of set the table a little bit on how we even and why we are so motivated to bring you the globaldispatch.com, because the media frenzy this week was really a bizarre obsession. And I witnessed something with one of the major networks, who will go nameless for now, where basically the media coverage transferred back and forth between the San Francisco airplane crash and the Trayvon Martin murder case, and literally told us, the audience, that that's all they were going to cover. They basically bounced back and forth. Let's go from the East Coast to the West Coast, back to the East Coast, back to the West Coast, and did nothing for like an hour, completely ignoring. Let me go over a couple of stories that were happening at the exact same time. The Chicago shootings over the weekend had a dozen dead, over 60 others injured. There was a huge derailment of a train in Quebec. It burst into flames and destroyed a small town. I mean, Bob, how do you run major news networks and you don't even cover anything but basically two stories?
Well, it really depends on what the topics entail. If it entails race, or if it entails marriage, or if it entails other controversial topics where there's an agenda, they will be all over it. You're talking about stories that went on this previous week. The week before, my observation was the media's exuberance and celebratory and jubilance over the Supreme Court ruling on the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA.
That's true. There was a lot of hyperbole, right? I mean, and that
Absolutely.
was, and I think conservatives, Fox News has to be held accountable and charged. Talk radio, same kind of thing. There was a lot of scare tactics, a lot of that kind of thing going on.
That, and it really wasn't news. It was more, I was expecting party hats and noisemakers. Very few guests were on any of these shows, if any, to present the other side, the opposition. Totally agenda-driven, and I don't think it's news.
Let me go to another story. You had brought this to my attention. I thought this was very interesting. You brought this to my attention about Rand Paul. He had hired Jack Hunter.
Yes.
And he was brought in. And the media, right, left, and otherwise, raced to attack Jack Hunter. Now, I don't know much about Jack Hunter. I know a little bit. But the biggest thing you told me about was how defensive they were about criticisms of President Lincoln.
Yeah, Jack Hunter. Some of you out there may know him as the Southern Avenger. He was a Charleston, South Carolina radio host. And none of this was a secret, but somebody put out a column last week concerning his views on secession, his views on Abraham Lincoln. And he was bashed left, right, neocon. It didn't matter over these views. And I sit back and I think, since when is Abraham Lincoln off limits?
Yeah, I don't know that we have any presidents that are sort of above reproach, and to see the media respond this way and react this way was kind of eye-opening. So I want to move ahead to another headline, because I mean, I think it was very strange to me. I think if we had rewound this a month ago, you and I would both be very surprised that abortion would be in headlines.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would, with everything going on with all the numerous of scandals and immigration reform and all that, and here we are in the show this week, and we really can't ignore the fact that abortion is in nearly every other headline. So this is a great chance for you to call, because I'm going to bring up an ad that was refused by many of the major newspapers. 727-441-3000 is the number to call locally, 727-441-3000. You can call toll-free, 1-866-826-1340. I'm going to put the ad out there. I'll put it on our Facebook page. It's Facebook.com/Dispatch Radio. You can see this for yourself. And let me know if this is offensive. Let me know if this is controversial. That's what the newspapers are saying. The newspapers are saying we're not going to run the ad, right? I mean, that's what they were basically saying.
Oh, absolutely. They were saying it was controversial. It's a picture of a 20-week-old fetus, I believe. And again, I believe this is agenda-driven. And I think that the paper should just put it out there and let people decide for themselves.
Well, they don't seem to have a track record of shying away from controversial ads and posts, right? I mean, we've got a long history of political stuff. And the best example that came to me as I was preparing for this was, look at how we handle cigarette ads. You can put some of the most extreme and shocking stuff out there on both television and in print to deter people from smoking. Yet you can't show what a 20-week-old child looks like if it's in someone's hand, I guess. I mean, I showed this to my daughters, so we're talking 11 and 14-year-olds who looked at it and went, well, it's just a little child. I don't understand why it's offensive at all.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I go back to where we started on today's show, the leading of the agenda to manipulate the public. It's interesting that I do have one quote from Heroica Media Executive Director Joe Young, who was responsible for the photograph. It says, "It seems as though it is okay to talk about the issue in general, but when you actually put a face to the discussion, then it becomes controversial." Is there a fear in the media of having this photograph out there? That's my question.
Yeah, that was definitely a very interesting sort of response to. I don't know. I just don't get it. And then combine that with what else we were talking. We were talking about the whole 20-week pain issue. Which
right, Brandon. You were telling me earlier about off air about a study that you checked into.
Yeah, it was very interesting that the 20-week mandate is kind of become a new line in the sand now with the whole abortion topic. And what we're finding is that the abortion bill in Texas, which is the 20-week ban on abortion, has reignited, shall we say, the discussion of does a 20-week fetus feel pain or not? Because this is definitely kind of at the crux of a lot of the discussions. I quoted and I went back to Slate and Mother Jones, who raced, they're two liberal websites, they're obviously very pro-choice, who raced to put together articles, who attacked the different quotes, the different science, and all these things that are behind it. And they noted a 2005 journal from the American Medical Association, which was kind of contradictory to that they feel pain or not. But when you start to do the research, you start to go back and you start to look at the new research. You start to look at the Nebraska law, which had already been passed, and the debate that had happened in Minnesota. Now, in Minnesota, the debate, they did not install a 20-week ban. But let me read some of the quotes of some of the other doctors. It says, the neural pathways are present for pain to be experienced quite early by newborns, by unborn babies. And that is a Dr. Stephen Calvin. He is a University of Minnesota doctor. Then at 20 weeks, the fetal brain has the full complement of brain cells present in adulthood, ready and waiting to receive pain signals from the body, and their electrical activity can be recorded by standard EEG. That's Dr. Paul Rinaldi. He's a neurologist at Toronto. And there's several other quotes. These quotes have nothing contradictory to what was being presented in the argument of the 20-week thing, and have happened long after 2005. So the whole thing is very odd. And the one area with all of this, and there's a breaking story this morning, I haven't got it up yet, about in Texas where the pro-choice folks battling with pro-lifers and that kind of thing. And it's really just kind of sad that it becomes such a circus. And I really wish that we could spend more of our time and energy focusing on adoption and trying to find improvements there. Which takes me to a story of just a great story of a priest. He had been counseling a family. They found out that their unborn child has Down syndrome, and they were seeking now to abort the child. So he was very moved by this. He responded accordingly. He got with some folks there who handle the social media. They put out an urgent distress on Facebook and had 900 responses worldwide to adopt this baby so it wouldn't get aborted.
That's amazing.
And it just kind of shows that, we don't even talk about adoption. We only focus on the circus and the shenanigans that go on in these debates back and forth. The pro-choice folks are bringing bottles of urine and feces and all sorts of stuff to the discussion. We have pro-lifers who can't even spell check their signs, who are embarrassing themselves. It's just such a dog and pony show that gets us away from the real issues at hand. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and go to a very quick break just to take a little pause. We're going to shift gears, go into some international stuff. We'll be right back on Dispatch Radio.
There's a great youth mentorship program in the greater Tampa Bay area. Mission Flight United is a nonprofit organization which reaches out to kids, especially teens, who love aviation and want to fly. Whether they have an interest in helicopters, fixed-wing airplanes, or aviation mechanics, Mission Flight United offers education, flight simulation, and great life application skills to help in all of these areas. For more information on their weekly classes or to make a tax-deductible donation, contact the instructor Dana Walker at 207-233-0669. With every $50 donation, you get a 1-hour demonstration and can schedule a flight with Dana to see for yourself what Mission Flight United has to offer. Again, call Dana at 207-233-0669 or simply Google Mission Flight United.
This is Brandon from Dispatch Radio, and I want to tell you about my friends over at Stout Auto. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't stand car repair shops. I hate hearing about all the things that are wrong with my car. Even if they're true, I just want my oil changed. Now, the only thing worse than car repair is having to take it back again when it breaks down for what I just had done the first time. Now, recently, I had some work done on my mother-in-law's car. Spent a pretty penny, only to have the same thing start all over again. Now, this person may have meant well, and I don't really have any ill will, but I learned a valuable lesson, that I can trust Jody and his team over at Stout Auto. Not only did they fix everything, explain what else needed to be done, they did it in a professional manner with estimates that I could understand, and I left feeling that my daughter, if she took her car in there for an oil change, wouldn't come home with a $600 bill. One trip, one good repair, I didn't have to go back. Now, they've been in business in Clearwater for over 4 years. 18300 US 19 North. It's in Clearwater at 727-216-6622. Now they have a new location that's off Belcher at 1801 Belcher Road, just 1 block north of Ulmerton. Give them a call. That's 727-400-6955. 2 locations, going to do you right, get you in and out. Tell them the Global Dispatch sent you.
You're listening to Dispatch Radio, sponsored by theglobaldispatch.com.